So I am Blake Bertuccelli. I own a web company called Decubing Web Services. We do a lot of work with different universities, in addition to all sorts of other clients. And we're really primarily focused on WordPress. And we've been focused on WordPress since the very beginning, early days. I think WordPress 2 was the first system we got up and running on. And today I'm going to focus on a project that we launched with Tulane. It's still an ongoing project, but it was a really neat experience to develop what we call a self-service web publishing platform. That's a huge kind of mouthful of things. But what a self-service web publishing platform is it's basically like a Squarespace for a school, a university, a campus, and it allows the university members to update and design their university's branded website in however they want to. So instead of having to have lots of different departments focused on and building unique websites for each unique need, we wanted to figure out how to do a university-wide integrated system that would give those kind of design decisions to the people who still needed them. So we're not trying to take anybody's jobs away. We're just trying to centralize what can be centralized. And we built this entire self-publishing platform on WordPress Multisite. And I'll show you a little bit about that. So through this talk, what I'll do is I'll take you through how we built it. I'll take you through some of the design decisions, the user testing. I'll show you a demo of what we did, what the end product was, and talk about a little bit of the shortcomings that we found along the way. My real hope is that schools take this and apply it to their own university. I mean, this is really a great way to have a kind of one managed platform for all of the web services, and hopefully it takes away some of the IT pains that come with having lots of different types of hosted websites. So the key features of this platform that we built with Tulane is that we have elegant themes and useful tools. So we really looked at what campus stakeholders needed. If they were in the marketing department, they needed one thing. If they were in a science lab, they needed a different thing. We have a really easy onboarding and useful dashboard. So we really want to get people into the platform as quickly as possible. This is, for a lot of people, a new tool, and we didn't want it to make it seem like a new tool. Where we could, we incorporated existing content that was available, so we had the easiest onboarding whatsoever. They didn't have to create a new account or anything like that. And then we wanted to use a very familiar content management system. This was a real big push behind Multisite. As I said, I'm a WordPress developer and have been working with WordPress for a long time, but we did tests. We went through, from making a totally custom solution to using a different type of CMS to kind of a bit of both. And what we really wanted to do was have a familiar content management system that had an established set of best practices. And then the final feature that we really kind of wanted to focus on early on was a site directory to explore all the sites. One of the big problems that you run into in universities is that all of these great websites are created, but they're not discoverable. You might go to the university's website, tulane.edu, but if you wanted to see a really cool lab, there's no way to get to that. You have to kind of be in the know how to get there. So we really wanted to create a real cool discovery feature. And by integrating all these sites into one place, we can do a seamless discovery feature that I'll show you in a little bit. So I'll kind of take my presentation around a user story. We always start with the users whenever we're building anything in our company. And so the user that I'll focus on right now is a professor, Professor Vicky Mayer, a real person, a friend of mine. And she has wants a blog site. We're in New Orleans, Tulane is here, and she wants to publish her class's work about New Orleans. She's never built a site before, but she knows good design when she sees it. She's really style conscious, so she really wants to have a lot of control over what the user sees. And she wants this site to inspire others. So inspiration is a big thing, and that is a quality of websites. You can have sites that are used strictly for data and sites that have inspiration. So that is really a clear requirement. So the user flow of this platform that we built on Multisite is Professor Mayer goes to this website, sites.tulane.edu. She clicks the big create a site button. Then she's never done this before, so she to launch her site, all she does is put in her Tulane user, which is then verified. We're using an LDAP system to verify the users. She selects a URL. Every site has a URL at the Tulane domain name with the site's prefix, and those can be kind of mapped around. So for special cases, we can have custom domain names, but it's not encouraged for new users like Vicky. Then all she would do is add her logo, and once she adds her logo, she can then select a template. And we built this really neat template gallery, kind of leveraging some of the new Gutenberg tools, so that the user can see what the site will look like before they even launch it. They can try it in different different browsers, and they can see some of the content that's there. So if they uploaded their logo already, they can see it there. And we've developed a lot of different templates and themes. So basically, in our architecture, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but our architecture is built around both templates and themes. To us, a template is different than a theme. So we're very familiar with the WordPress themes. So those are the things that you can buy off a website, you put into your WP content folder, and you activate and update the styles pieces. For us, we had this second level of organization, and it was templates. So we created a template for digital magazine, a media gallery, documentation sites, lab sites. The templates are what organize the content. So we only really had 2 themes in our system, but with those 2 themes, we had so many ability to add and move content around, especially with Gutenberg, that we were able to make tons and tons of templates, and hopefully we'll have an ever-expanding group of templates to really give people what they want and really dial in. So Vicky here, is creating this online blog, so she's probably going to click the digital magazine template. And that digital magazine template will organize her content in a way that hopefully will adapt to everything that she needs. If she doesn't, she can always contact us and we can make new templates. But our whole system is built around meeting the users wherever they are. So if she's never created a website before and needs to get started, it's no good giving her a blank canvas. We have to fill in that canvas a little bit. So our templates have filled in that canvas. We already put her logo in this and are previewing it with her logo. And she loves it. She's good to go. So she goes in the next step. This is the end of the startup process. Again, we really wanted to create a very quick barrier or very easy barrier for entry. So it's literally sign up, add your logo, pick your template, you're there. Once you're there, she can start touring features. Now, this is a very, very, very highly requested feature that we got from our user testing. If you just give somebody the credentials to WordPress and say go, the chances are they're going to be confused and never use it again. What we really wanted to do was create a very, very kind of step-by-step system that allowed users to see all of the features as they go. And if somebody already used WordPress, they should probably also step through this tutorial, because we've added a few new features. So for instance, the traditional multi-site doesn't have this kind of publish-unpublish feature for front-end users, but that was something that was really requested, so we built it, and then we added a little tooltip to show the user was there. Another real kind of benefit of integrating these kind of tooltips, this step-by-step documentation early on, is that if we ever add any new features later, we can always go back and say, hey, look at this, we added it, and point it out and let people use it. You see this kind of user experience on your iPhone and most of the modern apps you use. Why isn't it used for campus technology? I don't know, and we really hope to adopt it, and it's something that people really like. Because even if we're giving them a whole tutorial, we spend an hour and a half with them to get them up and going. When they go home and log in, there's no guarantee that they've remembered it all or written it all down in a way they remember it. So these tooltips help. And I can't stress this enough, that this is a real kind of benefit of the tooltips. And it's a pro tip, because I highly, highly recommend, if you're building any new features, to have some kind of guide that people can skip through or go back to. But editing the content in this system is just like editing any Gutenberg post. I mean, Gutenberg, Gutenberg really made this whole process possible. So, you know, the things that we love about Gutenberg is it's like very visual. So what you see is what you get. And we can have those Gutenberg blocks kind of in there as a template. So Vicky is not getting started from nowhere, but if she wanted to just create a test post, she can just get in there and play. And I've been amazed to see users that have never used WordPress before, never used any type of content management system before, just jump into Gutenberg and go. It's really a phenomenal thing, and it's a testament to where WordPress is going, and it gives it a lot more longevity. Because the old editor or having a lot of different advanced custom fields would confuse the first-time user, and we really want to embrace the first-time user. So, you know, Vicky would have all of the usual editorial controls. We've added kind of an extra level of user controls for all of our sites. You know, we noticed that teachers are creating a lot of these sites, and they want to give their students access to it, but they want to have some kind of control over what their students use and how they use it in a little bit more of a granular level than WordPress gives. So we kind of built out that user role editor. By the way, you might notice that this doesn't quite look like the multi-site experience. And one of the big things that we found that we needed to do was skin multi-site. So we actually took multi-site and also took kind of the newer WordPress.com aesthetic and blended them together and added that as a skin to multi-site. And the reason why we did that is for twofold. Is a lot of the user feedback when we said this is WordPress was like, oh, it's cheap. They didn't think of it as a new tool. You know, they didn't get that excited by it. So just by kind of phrasing it, they got excited by it. They thought it was a Tulane tool. They had the Tulane spirit, so they went into it. The second thing is issue of trust. If a user is adding content to a site that has WordPress's logo on it, they might not trust it, or they won't trust it as much as if it has a Tulane logo on it with all of the great assurances and insurances that come with that logo. So those two things were the dominating factor, and of course it looks a little bit better, I think, but who knows with aesthetics? You can never tell. So Vicky is here. She's getting a little bit more advanced. She added a post, and now she's adding users. She could set user roles. So again, like I said, we've created kind of two very unique user roles, student and teacher, with the idea that in any campus there's kind of a hierarchy of administrator, teacher, student. And they might want to control different things, and teachers might want to know when a student publishes a work, and administrators might want full reign over everything and have multiple sites with different teachers. So we've kind of built those user roles, and this is one of the custom pieces that we built out. I wouldn't, if you're building one of these self-publishing platforms from scratch, I wouldn't recommend just turning on multi-site and going. You really have to figure out what your users want and what they need, so you're not patching things in the future, and also so you've built the architecture to support it. So one of the things that we really did was, we worked with the WordPress semantics and hooks as much as possible. We didn't do a lot of custom stuff that was outside of the traditional WordPress architecture. And B, we really kind of built to build on. So we built a framework so that we could eventually build on. And you see this with Gutenberg. Gutenberg was a great framework that they started, and people might have thought it was too bloated. And now all the bells and whistles and all the pieces are being used on Gutenberg. So we did a similar thing where we looked at what is a framework that we can build on. And so, like, for instance, if we need to have different types of students come in, if we need to have different types of notifications based on these roles, we could build that later because we already have the framework in place. So we spent a lot of time on the architecture early on, which I don't think is time wasted at all, because your time in the future, especially in a project like this that has a huge longevity, is going to be saved by just doing the forethought. Another huge piece that we learned in building this, and one of the things that I was really adamant on, and I'm glad I was, is to integrate chat support. Tulane has its own chat kind of system, its own ticketing system, but I was pretty firm that we should have a modern type of support system, and we built it with Intercom so that we could have very much like rapid development. What we wanted to do was really give everybody the keys to the kingdom, and then if they had any problems, that they could just chat with us. And then if we saw things, repeated, we can easily create a help doc out of it. And when we create a help doc out of it, Intercom automatically maps it to their bot. So the next time someone says, like, can you tell me about user roles, we don't have to actually respond with a human. We could just respond with one of the help docs. So it has saved a lot of time, but it also has allowed us to develop super agilely, where we're not like fretting, biting our nails about what people are going to think. They're going to click the friendly support window and chat with us, and it's been a great way to develop the project. We built basically our MVP, and then we launched it and had this little support system, which was just remarkable, and I highly recommend it. And I could go in more if you have questions. I can go in more with why we chose Intercom, but any kind of chat system would probably work that allows this rapid development. So back to Vicky. Vicky is getting chat support right now, and she's been. Then she gets a message that says go to the support docs. So another big piece, like I was saying, is we're building out a huge amount of support documentation. I really am of the believer that the documentation should be a central role for IT. There should be someone constantly editing it, someone constantly adding to it, someone constantly updating it, checking against it. You should have wiki related to it. This is really how the system starts to run itself. And I've worked on countless projects that didn't have a support doc from the beginning and didn't take them seriously. And in year 3 or 4, we were killing ourselves answering the same questions over and over and over again and having the same bugs. Support docs really help us trim bugs, find priority, and also answer questions. So we're actively building docs for both the user and the developer. So because our system is not just made for us to develop, we really want the entire community to develop on it as well. So we have everything is mapped and ready, from the hooks we use to the type of themes to all of our decisions that went into the architecture for the website. All of that should be public, all of that should be in support docs, and all of that should be constantly updated. I can't say this enough, because this is the investment that is going to make your life easier in the future. Back to Vicky. So Vicky publishes her site. So she's added her content, she's ready to go. And again, we built a special system for publishing and unpublishing sites. What we found was that a lot of people who are our early users put up content and they weren't happy with the content, especially academic types. And they wanted to wait and think about it and really mull over it and test it out and maybe even send it to a few people before it was published to everybody. And so we added this new feature on top of into Multisite that allows a user to publish their site. So when Vicky is ready, she just clicks publish. If for whatever reason she needed to take it away, she could click unpublish. So she clicks that publish button, and then it shows up on our directory thing. And you can see kind of lower down on this slide, there's a directory here. I'll use the little pointer tool. So there's a directory down here, and this directory again is a key feature because it exposes users to different sites and what Tulane offers. I never knew that Tulane had a Clay lab, for instance, and I did because I could find the site on the directory. Another thing the directory really does well is it helps kind of police sites. So when people see that their site is on the directory, they're going to update their site, they're going to keep it fresh, or they're going to take it down, or they're going to do something, or they're going to complain, or whatever, as long as there's some activity. And what we found with the existing WordPress multi-site that Tulane has, and what I've seen a lot of times with existing multi-sites, is that so much of the website stays stagnant. And a lot of the reason is because people just forget they're there. So the directory helps users know that their site is there. Some additional features, just to kind of go outside of Wiki, but into kind of the more general platform. This is something that is kind of on our wish list of building, but it's something we definitely scoped out. We really want to integrate with other developers. There's no reason why our company has to be the only developer working on this. There are countless great developers for both vendors and employees of Tulane, and they should be working with Multisite and with the system, and not really scared that we're kind of some overlords or we're going to take their work from them. So we really wanted to create a easy integration, and one of the ideas that we're still working on, but I'm very excited about, is creating really kind of easy continuous integration. And so what a developer would have to do, if you're working with a vendor who is a developer, is they just give you their Git repo address with whatever they have in there. So if they have a new theme, they have a new plugin, whatever it is, and then all they have to do is add it here and then submit it to us. When that's submitted to us, the first and foremost, we'll use CI tools to test it, to make sure it meets all of our security requirements, meets all the standard requirements. If it doesn't, the developer is quickly notified, as it shows here. Like the theme has no tags, you have to add a tag. If it does, then it's sent to one of the administrators of the system, and they review it, they test it on the staging environment, and if it's great, they launch it. And it's a very similar process that it is of submitting a theme to WordPress, but we really want to bring developers in. I can't say this enough. Like, there needs to be more developers working on this project. This shouldn't trim away developers or scare them away. Another really cool tool that we built for this, and I was talking a little bit about this before, are content templates. So like I was saying, Vicky, when she launched her site for the first time, had a lot of pre-built content. And templates, again, are different than themes. Themes are where all that, where CSS is and all the PHP files. But templates are really just the way content looks and feels on the page. So all of the content on there. If it's a magazine site, the template might have a lot of different blog posts. If it's a lab site, we have the pages that a lot of lab posts have. So it's just, templates are a way to get started. And people can create and submit templates to us. So if somebody created a great news site, great blog site, and they wanted to replicate it a lot, like it was maybe a sports blog that they wanted to do for each sports team on Tulane, all they would have to do is name their template and then save it and submit it to us for review. We'll check it out, make sure it meets all the accessibility standards, and make sure that the larger Tulane community can use it. Or if they can't, we'll target it to specific users, and then we'll launch it. So it's a really easy system that we built, and they're called templates. Another thing I was also talking about was the advanced user roles. Again, this is going to be a super robust system because teachers have been using WordPress to teach their classes and run their classes. And there's no reason why a student shouldn't be proud of the work that they publish and keep the work they publish. And there's no reason why WordPress can't handle the traditional pedagogical approach all internally. So what we really hope to do with this kind of teacher and student user role is develop that whole pedagogical process inside WordPress. And this is a really exciting place for me because I'm passionate about bringing classwork online and exposing it to the world. And the better you make these tools to fit the classroom, the more teachers and students will use it. So I'm really hoping that this kind of feature will evolve over the years and maybe even become its own plugin for teachers to run on their single sites. So looking at like our development process, and it's weird not having an audience because I would probably stop and start and read the room, but reading the internet now, I'm going to move to my development process. We developed Tulane's platform in 4 phases. So the first phase was setting prototypes and requirements. We did that back a while ago, and Tom Cheek, who was working with me from Tulane IT, and we met with tons of stakeholders. Basically, I sent out emails to everybody I know, and I'm a Tulane alumni, so I knew a few people, and Tom did as well, just to meet with them. I'm just curious what they need, what they want. Anybody that had an existing Tulane site, we met with, we studied their sites, we looked at all the existing stakeholders, and you wouldn't believe how many projects that I've been part of that haven't done this kind of stakeholder interviews, which is really the most important thing, because once we go to the second kind of phase with the design, you can go back to those stakeholder interviews and say, this is why we chose this, and it's a really big asset. Having those stakeholder interviews is a huge asset. So when we got to the UX and design phase, we had our stakeholder interviews. We made lots of different mock-ups in XD, and we just tested those mock-ups. When we showed them to people, we tested them internally, we asked lots of questions of them, and it was a big process of figuring it out. A big thing for Tulane was to maintain branding requirements. So we had a huge kind of piece of developing the branding requirements as we did the UX. And then once we had all the UX and design stuff down, we developed a production beta. And basically, the production beta was the thing that went to users first. And we went back to our stakeholders and we said, here it is. It's going to change, but try it out. And we did that, and we just constantly iterated on that. And then finally, we deployed our final beta and support documents. I have to give a big caveat now about this whole entire project. COVID has sent this, of course, timelines into the ether. So we were last on this in December 2019, hoping to launch, very much around now. But we're kind of in this like stop zone. But whenever we're ready, we'll deploy that final beta and we'll get support documentation up. Just a look at our prototyping. We had, like I said, we had 2 themes. We really worked closely with the marketing department to identify like one fun theme that used some fun colors. Like we had a crawfish and corn color, a hullabaloo color, green wave. These are all Tulane, New Orleans related things. And the more fun thing that maybe a student group or a fraternity or something like that would use, we made into what we call our Broadway theme. And then for the more refined folks and the more administrative kind of highbrow stuff, official stuff, we made a St. Charles theme. So we had these 2 different themes, and they felt similar, but they definitely had a different aesthetic and a different style that we pushed for. And as far as the user knew, there was lots of different templates that use these different themes. We found like the Broadway stuff really worked for sports teams. St. Charles really worked for administrators. Like I said, we did user testing, and like I also said, we did it all through intercom. We're constantly kind of seeing what needed to change. So right when we put out that beta, we were getting feedback and we were changing things. So like Victoria might say here, gradients with backgrounds do not compute. We'll ask what that means and we'll figure it out. We'll either quash the bug, put it on our list, or tell her what she's doing wrong. And every developer had their hands in these support documents and what was answering these tickets. So it really helped everybody on the team understand what was wrong and what needed to be fixed, and hopefully we were pushing towards some place where we would have a dedicated support team. But it always begins in some of the most successful projects I'm on with the developers themselves answering these tickets and really finding what a user thinks. And then, our production beta, like I've been showing you with the Wiki thing, we we squashed the bugs as much as possible. It was in beta form, and we made it big and beautiful, and then we launched it to our kind of in group, and hopefully we'll launch it to everybody. We'll see if that happens soon. The internet and COVID do weird things. So again, this entire platform was built on top of Multisite. We just used custom themes or custom skins and hooks to make it a little bit unique. With this published, unpublished button was really an extra level of uniqueness, but it's all Multisite. You can see it has all the Multisite pieces to it that you would normally find on any Multisite. We integrated with Tulane's authentication system. Thanks to Paul for supplying his plugin. A WordCamp kind of member gave us a suggestion for a plugin that he used for our own LDAP system, and it actually worked better than any other plugin out there. So kudos to WordCamp, because we wouldn't have had as easy an LDAP integration if it wasn't for it. But everything is a single sign-on. So as soon as the user gets in, we have all the information on them, and we can also relate content to them. So if they're in the science department, we might have more lab templates for them than if they weren't. And then we built custom plugins. So like I was saying, we built an entire system for and we did a lot of work trying to figure out the architecture that we could build on, and build an initial set of plugins that would be distinct in their feature set, but also very extensible and usable throughout the entire process, and hopefully into the future. So I'm showing you a list here. We have a core functions plugin with some of the unique core functions that we built, like branding stuff, a dashboard configuration plugin. That's where we do all skinning, Interfolio Gutenberg block. We had this really cool, I wish I could show you, but I'm running out of time. We have a really cool integration with Interfolio that allows teachers to instantly add their information from Interfolio into WordPress. So instead of a teacher having to write up their CV and all their awards and stuff, all they have to do is log in, and all that information is automatically there. Teachers have really liked that, and Interfolio gave us a shout out because we showed it to them. We have a multi-site default tag plugin. Tagging is a big thing on any multi-site system, so we wanted to standardize it. A templater system I showed you for users to submit a template from scratch. Directory block we created, again, where a place where you can search for all the sites on the system. Visibility control, this is the publish, unpublish, very important feature used every day. And then user roles, like I said, one of the most exciting things for me, because it allows you to turn this whole system into a pedagogical platform. But the final thing, which is really one of the most important things, is that everything we did was open sourced. And from the beginning, I was a real warrior for the open source. I feel terrible every time I build anything for WordPress and can't share it with everybody, because WordPress is meant to share with everybody. So we're slowly, as we develop this thing, and hopefully there is a lot more development on this platform, we're slowly opening it to the wider community. And in doing that, I of course hope every school has their own self-service system. But as other people adopt it, they can tell us what we're doing wrong. We can tell them what they're doing wrong. We can make a better system together. And that's really one of the most beautiful things that open source technology does, and why I push schools to embrace it. The other secret sauce that I have to share with administrators of why they're open sourcing everything is because of the cost effectiveness. Tulane was paying so much money, is still paying so much money for proprietary software, for support systems. All of that stuff can be mitigated by just a really good open source plan. Not only are you using technology that you don't have to pay license fees for, but you also have a gigantic, wonderful support network all throughout the internet, and great tools and communities like WPCampus. So it's an economic incentive to be open source. And it's really, really hard for any proprietary tool to argue against it. If you have a very, very skilled team, you will benefit economically and I would say morally by open sourcing all of your content. So I close with just being a huge open source promoter and encouraging you to go to this GitHub, github.com/Tulane, check out the repos, star them, ask any questions, get going. The more activity that we have on that, the more we're going to post. So get in there and let us know if there's anything we can do. Everybody, I guess that is it for me. And here's my contact information. And now I will turn it over to question and answers.
And Blake, that we have. This is a multi-site session, so of course this is right at home with higher ed. And from the Q&A, we have quite a popular selection. So I'm going to try to get through as many as I can. One attendee asks, what did you use to skin the administrative side of the platform? Was it a plugin or a custom admin theme?
Yeah, so we went through plugins, and then we ended up building our own custom admin theme on top of it, and that was a tough thing, and it's a constantly changing thing too. So we are kind of cognizant of if WordPress updates a class name or something, we have to go back and update it. That's something that we're just monitoring and keeping track of as part of our regular workflow. Eventually, we would love to turn this into a headless kind of component where we're actually just building our own dashboard from scratch. But that's way down the future. Right now, we just built our own custom kind of plugin that skins it all.
So similarly to that, we have a different question, an additional question that asks for the different user roles you created. Did you create a plugin or is it custom code?
It's a plugin we created. You know, it's leveraging a plugin called Publish Press, but we kind of we built it. Right now, it's very simple. Right now, it's just custom kind of roles with custom notifications, and we built this plugin from scratch. We really hope to build it out because what we've seen in some of our other projects is that teachers have specific needs, and it's usually around notification settings and publishing. So for instance, on one of the sites, students actually submit their homework through the site, and the teachers, before it's published, want to look at it, but they also want to have data of like when it was submitted, you know, when it was edited, all that kind of stuff. So as those needs grow, we'll update it. But it was a custom plugin that we built, and we just used the WordPress hooks to develop the users. We didn't like create some crazy PHP thing from scratch. We built right into the WordPress system as it is.
Awesome. So since we're on the subject of plugins, another audience member had a question of what is your single sign-on plugin that's being used for this project?
Yeah, so Paul Gislow, and I'll let's see if I can even bring it up because it was a great plugin. Paul created, and it is called, one second, let me get it for you because I need to make a shout out to it. It saved us so much time. WP Auth. So I would highly recommend it. WordPress directory authentication, LDAP, LDAP-S. And so I'm going to speak out the URL, and it's just Gilzow, GILZOW.com. That's Paul Gislow. He's a WPCampus member and a real vocal one, and you can probably shout him out on Slack. And his plugin was great. We tested every single one. His was the one that won. I can't say it enough.
Well, if Paul's not in this session right now, Paul's about to get a bunch of notifications that he was name dropped on this session. So if we're speaking of features for the multi-site, we have another question from an audience member asking, how does the publish unpublish feature work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll just go back to that slide so I have it up here. So we have this little kind of publish area, unpublished thing here. So basically, WordPress multi-site already has a meta field that says if the site is published, unpublished, but they don't give the user the UI to change that. So all we're doing here is we're using the built-in multi-site data piece that is published, unpublished, and we're giving the user control of that. And so all it is if a user clicks on this, it changes in a database to unpublished or published. And the way that affects our system, it affects every system any different way, but we use it for the directory point. So if something is published, I'm going to go way back, sorry for splashing your screens. If something is published, it'll show up in this directory. If something is unpublished, it won't show up in this directory. We've also talked a lot about using that data to decide which sites to keep or not to keep on our system. So if something hasn't been published in 3 years, we might be able to take it off our system. So that's the other way we use it. But we just use it when somebody clicks publish, it shows up here. If someone clicks unpublish, it goes away.
So Blake, we're about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get through one large question outside of plugin decisions. We had an audience member ask, if you were able to accomplish this in a year, what was your team size? Did you use external agencies? How much did you spend on external agencies?
Yeah, we did this in less than a year. I could have this up and running in three months if it wasn't for the bureaucratic system that is necessary or something. But we did it all in. We have a great team. It's myself, my brother Ezra, who's a backend developer, and 2 other developers and a designer. So with 5 people plus an IT admin, Tom, we were able to do it all ourselves. We didn't need to outsource anything. And if the question is kind of asking if, as Tulane, how much they spend on it, I'll tell you it was a lot cheaper than they spent on any license for any similar tool. And it's, like I said, this could have been a 4-month thing if for the right school or for the right size. We really work agilely and fastly, and also we're not doing a lot of stuff that's unique. I mean, we have the expertise and the experience with WordPress, so we're not building a ton of stuff. A lot of it is just figuring out architecture and how it can work. And so that's how we can do it so rapidly. And the next time we do it, and hopefully we do it a lot more, we'll learn more things.
Awesome. Fantastic. And at that, you actually finished your time completely. So we are at 45 past. Blake, thank you so much for your presentation. I think you've inspired a lot of multi-site installations, as well as a lot of new pet projects that we'll see from attendees throughout the next year or so. So I appreciate you sharing your expertise and your experiences on this project.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been fun.